everybody, and welcome back to You Can't Win. This is Tom here, and I'm joined by Dawn as usual. Today we are going to be doing a Q&A episodes, just nothing but questions sent in by you. So let's kick it off with this one. What are your most useless and most valuable skills?
I think most valuable maybe is being able to, theoretically valuable, I'll say, because like the thing that I think I'm probably best at that could relate to real life in some way is being able to understand sort of like the architecture of ideology and arguments and stuff like that, and how they kind of fit together or don't fit together and all that kind of stuff, I don't know. I think that's I really enjoy picking apart all the interlocking pieces and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's theoretically valuable in terms of that, there's analogs to different types of things you might want to, do or,
sure,
to make it good at analysis and stuff. But not valuable, I guess maybe similar kind of thing, being critical of people or ideas and stuff like that, to a very sharp degree or something like that kind of thing. I sometimes I let it run away from me and I end up being too critical or something like that. I think that can harm friendships and stuff like that sometimes if I, just naturally feel like I have to dial it up to 11 or something like that. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually kind of was thinking something sort of similar with me, where it's kind of like the same thing. It just depends on how it's used. I think that I am pretty good at just consuming and organizing information. I can just read a bunch of stuff about anything that I'm interested in and just day after day after day for a pretty long period of time, just be obsessed about it and, track down whatever I can read about it, whatever I can find out, and then come away with something useful, and put it together. I'm pretty good at sorting out this is a good idea. This is something that's not as important, and across different texts and sources and stuff, kind of putting it all together.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's pretty valuable if you use it right, but it's also useless the way that I tend to use it, so yeah, it's all about how you use the tools, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So the next one says, hope you will both consider converting to the true religion, Protestant Christianity.
I don't know. I'm trying to consider Christianity just as an overall kind of generic thing now, instead of worrying too much about the territorial battles kind of stuff,
all the denominations and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. It gets a bit silly sometimes, especially online, but which has very little relationship to, I think, to to the actual church's day-to-day operations. But I don't know, people get really trying to be epic about it and stuff, and or it's just a natural thing. I think that, I don't know, the way that it works with these debates and stuff is that there's people know maybe 10 basic facts about someone or something like that, and then they always have to relate them to the news of the day and stuff. So I don't know, it's I don't know, I think that's a natural kind of thing, but it feels kind of childish at some level. So
yeah, man, I don't like the religious discourse on Twitter for the most part. There are some people who are good. There are some people who I they're not for me. They're kind of it's a little corny or something for me, but I can see that they're they got their good intentions, and people seem to like them and all that kind of stuff. It's just, not the kind of stuff that I'm that interested in seeing. But then there's just a lot of jerks,
Sure.
But anyway, I found this a little bit odd, because Protestant Christianity is not a religion in that sense, you have to kind of dissect it a little bit, so which stripe of it, right? There's a lot of different versions of it, and you can't really there's no way to umbrella that and just say all of these are right. As long as you're Christian and you like have this generally Protestant like orientation. That doesn't really work, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure.
Although I have no idea. I really don't know anything about Protestant Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
We need to find a good guest who can explain this to us, and then we'll end up converting at the end of it. I don't know what the Protestant Shahada is, but
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, Tom, this is your mother. Please stop bullying that nice Canadian boy. He can't help having Down syndrome.
Okay. I don't know.
That's exactly how my mom talks. I think this is true.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Listen to her. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll lay off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So this one I wasn't really sure what this was about, but it sounded kind of Frenchy sort of thing. So I thought maybe you were familiar. It just says Peltier, yes or no. So Pelzier.
I have no idea what that is. No. I know
Okay,
Leonard Peltier. I don't know Peltier, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I googled it and nothing pops up. So we're going to go with no on this one. All right. Cultural depictions aside, heroin is far and away the most spiritual drug since no one ever had a bad trip on heroin. What are your guys' thoughts? I'm going to do some more research on this topic. Have I read this one before? Reading this out, I'm wondering if we did this one.
No, we didn't. I don't think. I don't know. I guess it's one of those things where a lot of people have had bad endings, I guess, on heroin, and not just So, but I get the idea that you just get like, I don't know. It's not So, I guess while you're high or something like that, like you're doing okay. So, but yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't stopping breathing count as a bad trip too. So I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I guess it depends.
I heard a funny thing recently that Ginger Baker, the drummer for I don't know, some band in the 70s, I forget the band now, but he was like a big time drummer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said that the way he really got into the drums and really got good was he went to like black jazz clubs and stuff like that, and he asked them how to get good at the drums, and they just told him you have to do heroin.
That's funny.
And then he said he did it and it worked and it was amazing.
Yeah, that's good.
So I don't know about spiritual, but if you want to play the drums.
Sure.
All right, next one is, what do you guys think about the DSA meeting with the Venezuelan government? Good thing or bad thing? Please explain in 5 words or less.
Yeah, I don't know, 5 words or less, but like, it reminded me of like the old friendship tours that would happen in like the 70s and stuff, where like,
sure, yeah,
people would go to like the Soviet Union and then like see a model factory and all that kind of stuff and be like, wow, they're actually building socialism in our time and all that kind of stuff, which is fine. I don't know. It's just, it smacks of like True Believer kind of stuff. Like, I always feel like, I don't know. I just imagine some like, political person being like, like get, I don't know, just like being much more cynical than the people that were there. Like they really seem to be like, this is amazing. We're like seeing them resist in real time and stuff like that. And I don't know. I'm too cynical for that kind of stuff right now. I don't know. But like, I don't know. It seems like they had a fun time. I don't know. They went to a lot of different projects and stuff, and some of them are going to be really good and stuff. Some of them are going to be probably a facade and stuff. But like, I don't know. Like, I think they actually did meet with like Maduro like directly too, like, or at least I had an audience with him, whatever kind of thing. And that's kind of neat. I don't know. That's like I don't know. It's like a fun thing to do in your life or something like that, is to meet like a foreign leader or something, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
But like
the old Dennis Rodman, Steven Seagal type thing.
Sure. I don't know. So I think it's fine. I mean, the thing is that it's like that people are kind of going back and forth a bit, being like, DSA needs to show that like it stands with democracy at all times and stuff like that. But I don't think that most people care what DSA thinks about different things in general or something like that. Like, if they wouldn't join based on that either way or something like that kind of thing, right? Like, it's not like, I don't know. I don't think that, like, it's almost like obsessing about like the foreign policy positions about DSA are kind of like, they've got like 100,000 members, which is pretty significant, but it's not like, they don't even have like full control really over like the foreign policy statements of their members in Congress and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know. It's not like they've gone full, China is the future or something like that kind of thing. It's just, so I don't know. It's not like, you're going to have those kind of people in a party anyways, kind of, or like a political organization. So I wouldn't I don't know. Some people have been kind of overdoing it in both directions kind of thing. One being like, well, this shows our new internationalism or something like that. And it's like, well, yeah, but it's just a trip kind of thing. It's not like, so.
Yeah. And I think that Venezuela has like reasons to do this. It's sort of like, in some way, maybe it like shows like it like embarrasses the U.S. on some level. Maybe not like really, like, but
yeah,
maybe in Venezuela it's seen that way.
Sure.
And I don't know. It's just like people going to Graceland, or I kind of feel like it's something like that. It's like a fandom visiting the real life location of the thing that they like. So
yeah, I mean,
people dressing up in Star Wars outfits outside the movie theater. That's kind of the vibe I get from this.
Yeah, I don't have like a problem with that. I'd like to go to Cuba one day and just go around Havana and stuff. I think that'd be neat. But like I don't know. So maybe I'll join them in my Star Wars suits or something. So yeah,
you show up to Cuba in like a stormtrooper thing.
Yeah,
that'd be funny. Mm-hmm. All right. So speaking of Cuba, did you guys ever read that interview Fidel Castro did where he came out as pro-Israel and also said the Cuban Revolution was kind of a failure? I haven't read this. I thought maybe you had.
No, I don't know what he's talking about, but Castro did have a lot of like idiosyncratic kind of positions and stuff. And I mean, that he was famous for just like, being like, okay, well, I'm going to talk about this subject now and just talk for like 3 hours or something like that kind of thing. I guess maybe he was like a podcaster ahead of his time or something, but like,
yeah. You think Hugo Chavez did that just to emulate Castro? Because he also did that on his like TV channel and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's maybe part of it, but for Chavez, he was more interested in, it was like he wanted to like change the culture or something like that. Like he was doing it to like hog airtime kind of thing, I think, because a lot of the times I think that like for at least some period or something like that, like those would be interrupting other broadcasts. So he had his like regular broadcasts and stuff, but he would also have these things where I can't remember what they were called, but like it would be like an emergency broadcast kind of thing, and based on like the laws there, like you had to kind of like, so it'd be like if Biden was able to kind of interrupt Fox News for 4 hours or something like that and give a speech about socialism. So
I like that.
Yeah, so it and that was like one of the things that really, really outraged all the right-wing media there, obviously, because it's like, I don't know, they were saying that it's like a like against free speech and all that kind of stuff, but I think Chavez found it pretty funny. So yeah, so
anyways, okay,
yeah,
so we're not sure about this.
So I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, okay.
That sounds like I mean, I don't know. I don't want to just put this out there without having any context or understanding of it at all, but it sounds like something that could be made up. Like,
yeah,
Yeah,
although he did have like a column for many years and like would do stuff where he would just kind of say kind of wacky stuff ever so often and stuff and reflect on things and just give like a few opinions here and there and stuff. So he would kind of go off in weird directions sometimes. So you never know, but like
like a Dave Barry kind of a thing.
Pretty much. I mean, he I think I can't remember who was it that died or something like that, but I think he did like maybe it was just about, there was one about Deng Xiaoping where he just was like talking about Deng Xiaoping. This wasn't super long ago. I mean, it was like, okay, it was like 15 years ago maybe or something like that, but like he had this article where he was just like, or maybe more, but like, he just was like, Deng Xiaoping will always remember that he made fun of me or something like that kind of thing. He's like, but I don't care, whatever, or something like that. He just had this like thing. It's just kind of like a very like, I don't know. That's one of the ones I remembered of his columns. It was just him being like, he's like, China. We always felt bad about him because Deng Xiaoping insulted Cuba once and Castro and stuff, and so I don't know. He just had this kind of like jumbled thing about how, like how China's good now or something like that or whatever. So I don't know. It was kind of funny.
That's cool. Kind of Trumpian.
That's what it's like. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I saw this video recently of Fidel Castro playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was hilarious because he was still wearing his like outfit, his like Generalissimo thing.
Yeah.
Like to play basketball. I that just was cracking me up. Like, I don't know. It would look ridiculous if he was like wearing like and one shorts or something like that, like a Chicago Bulls jersey or something.
Mm-hmm.
But like at first you don't really think about it. You're like, yeah, that's Castro. He's wearing the thing. You don't really think about it. And then you're like, wait a second, he's playing basketball on that. That's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Made me laugh.
Yeah. Well, he was like a baseball player before and stuff too, right?
Yeah, I heard he was actually pretty good too.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's cool. All right. So the next one is why are modern Marxist-Leninists all about Juche, Dengism, or Stalinism? Why not the Laotian communists? What do they have going on over there?
Yeah, I don't know. I joke about this sometimes too. That I work for the Lao press and stuff and getting their message out. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think it is one of those things where it's like it comes from this. It's sort of the similar thing to the Maoist, Maoist third world thing where it's like we're going to surround the countryside. I mean, cities from the countryside kind of thing. It's like we'll get all the poor countries to line up against the United States, and then that's how we'll win. It's that kind of it's that kind of logic of like this broad coalition against the United States, and so it kind of like leans into the idea that like the BRICS countries are going to be the ones that sort of build this tentative sort of coalition against the United States, and but the difference is that with those kind of groups and stuff is that they sort of imagine that it is already existing and are like, China and Russia are somehow already in alliance against the United States, trying to like avoid,
that all these world leaders like privately think about things the same way that they do, the same way that the Maoist third worldists or whatever do. That
they're like building some sort of counter hegemony and are building an alternative. And that's why you see people like really excited about like alternatives to the petrodollar, which I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but it's like one of those things where you could just see excitement about it every few years kind of thing of like, oh, we're at this turning point where finally the United States is going to be, fall as like the anchor of the economic system and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I think that's the basic idea behind it, is that they have to piece together from the international scene a coalition that's willing to confront the United States. And I also think that like because China has a communist government, like a party in power, that makes it pretty easy to be like, amazing things are happening in China kind of stuff a lot. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think I think you're basically right. I think it also like, a lot of this sort of, modern Marxism stuff, like, I don't know what you would call it. Like the old term was like vulgar Marxism, but that's not really what I mean. I mean, like this more like popular idea of being a communist, being a Marxist and all that. It's much more about foreign policy, I think, than it is about like a genuine communist ideology in that
Mhm.
sense. Like it's less about like this sort of scientific socialism, as like Marx put it, and more about like opposing U.S. Imperialist policy and stuff,
Yeah.
right? So you see much more enthusiasm for defending like Iran or Russia or something like that, when like those are not pro-communist governments at all, right?
Yeah.
Which, and I'm not even saying that this is a bad thing. I'm just trying to say, like, I think that's why a country that is sort of like not super relevant geopolitically, isn't like making big grandstanding anti-American kind of stuff, and they're sort of playing ball with the whole like global financial system and everything, even if they have a communist party or whatever, it just doesn't get the attention and the sort of like cheerleading that you see for other countries that are even like staunchly anti-communist, but because they're against the U.S., they kind of like become allies or whatever in the view of these people. So
Yeah. I think that there is a domestic element, but it tends to be pretty simple of at least we're not Democrats kind of thing is this idea. You know what I mean? It's like, well,
yeah.
we're not like the other people who are on the left because we don't support Democratic candidates. Which it's not. I think it's fine to be like, well, we need to be independent of the Democrats and stuff like that. Like, I get that 100%, but like, I think there's also a kind of thing where it's like, it ends up almost being like similar to anarchism in that way, where it's like, it's like, yeah, but it doesn't actually matter that you're independent. Like, there's no consequences of that really. Like, it's not like you have like, I don't know, like 10 members of Congress that are a member of your party or something like that. Then it's just
Right.
all it means is that you say that you're not a Democrat. Like, it doesn't actually have much of a, and you don't contribute to certain types of things maybe, but like, it doesn't really have much of a effect after other than that. And not only that, but within the sort of media slash, like on some computer system somewhere, it probably says you're a Democrat anyways, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's like in your advertising prefaces or something like that kind of thing. Like, it's like one of those things where your personal declaration that you're not a member of the party doesn't probably have much of a effect in the world, kind of thing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the next one is for me. It says, question for Tom. You mentioned reading from the Dao De Jing a lot before you became a Muslim. I was wondering what your thoughts on it were. In my experience, there are those who read it in a cringe way and those who read it in a based way. Which way did you read it? Well, I should clarify. I don't know if I read it a whole lot. I guess there was like a period of time where I read it fairly frequently. Like, it's a pretty short thing. You can read it pretty easily, like even multiple times a day if you really wanted to. But yeah, so I don't know, cringe way or based way, I have no idea. That's, I guess, for you to judge, not for me. But I just found it interesting. It kind of really, maybe it even like set the stage for me to understand God in a sense, because I think it kind of was like describing a little bit of like describing the Tao in a way that I could understand what it was talking about, and I found it interesting that this was like, the core of a religious understanding. Even if like Taoism is a thing, like I don't really know what that entails or whatever, and like in terms of like practicing it, didn't really seem like something I was just gonna like call myself or start to,
Sure.
Like what does it mean to do that? Like, I don't know. That was never really a consideration. But yeah, I enjoy it. I still like appreciate it. Like, I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I don't have any issues or arguments against it or anything like that. It's good.
Yeah, I haven't read it probably about 20 years or so, but I read it in high school a few times and I really enjoyed it too. Yeah, it's got like that, I don't know, basic spiritual message kind of thing. It's like wisdom. So
yeah, and I don't know, just a lot of stuff that is pretty easy to agree with, just about like how you should follow the Tao and do this and that kind of stuff. I don't know, it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the next one says, is the "No Justice, No Peace" slogan comparable to "You Can't Win"? I cannot think of a single way in which they're comparable, actually.
I guess they're saying kind of like you can't win. Is this idea that like society is kind of set up against you in some ways and stuff, and they're saying that like because society is set up against you, then you can't be content with I don't know, like the system or something like that. I don't know. I'm trying to
okay,
something like that, but I don't know. I feel like we're more leaning towards that you can be content. It's like no justice, peace. that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah, exactly.
It's like we don't think that we're probably gonna be able to achieve some level of everything being in harmony in our lifetimes, but we're still got to find ways to chill out. So
Yeah, I like that. What's up with Bosnians and Albanians drinking alcohol and also bending the rules with Sharia? I don't know specifically. Like, I could really speak to this. I'm not super clued into what's going on with Bosnians and Albanians. I don't really know anybody from those places. But you kind of also see this in Central Asia. A lot of those guys drink alcohol, and I think it probably has something to do with like the communist history, like suppressing Islam, and like in Albania they had to shave their beards, and I think drinking alcohol was promoted in different ways in to varying extents and stuff. I think there was a kind of like a policy of trying to like pull people away from the religious practices and stuff, and that was part of it. Kind of like what they're doing in China with the Uyghurs,
Yeah, although people drink a fair amount in other places too, but just like secretly, right? Or something like that, like, or like quietly kind of thing, not like...
Yeah, it's probably less than in other places. Definitely less than like, Russia or South Korea or something like that. But yeah, it still goes on. I mean, it might even be less today than it used to be, like kind of in the heyday of, like the golden age of Islam, as they call it,
Sure.
There was actually pretty prevalent drinking cultures, like with like there's a lot of poetry about wine and stuff, and people are always kind of saying, oh, well, it's like symbolic and stuff. It's like, well, yes, but it's also like kind of referring to like actual things that were going on in the culture. Like, it's not like they just made up or used wine as a metaphor for no reason at all. Like, it's because people were drinking a lot. Sure. A lot of Muslim generals during the Crusades died of alcohol poisoning. Actually, they didn't die in battle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just kind of shows you that, they weren't all like very strict about these things at all.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, on one level, I think like you kind of have to understand that a place being majority Muslim doesn't mean that everyone is very attentive to all the do's and don'ts necessarily, and that's always been the case. And also that probably there's other factors like I mentioned, with the communist stuff, like that's probably something to do with it as well.
Sure. Cool.
And then like if your neighbors also have like a big drinking culture, or if there's just like good wine and good beer around, like it's probably gonna entice you a little bit more,
Sure.
Have you guys noticed more relationships failing during COVID lockdown? I've seen at least 4 relationships end during it. Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. I feel like that's probably not that seems like anecdotal to me. I'm not sure. I feel like I guess number one, any long distance one would be likely to be breakdown or something like that anyways, but like just because of the difficulty. But
that tends to happen, yeah.
But like I feel like lots of relationships break up now all the time, kind of thing. So there's that sort of churn now, and I'm not sure that it is attributable to the lockdown, although it has been a very stressful time for a lot of people, and I can understand why.
Yeah, financial difficulties often break up relationships. That's often like a thing that breaks them up. So maybe there's more of that going around. maybe people are spending a lot more time with each other than they'd like to.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe it was okay when it wasn't like an all day sort of affair, but now it's like you just can't get away from this person, and all the little things that start to kind of pile up. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's been almost a year and a half now too, so that's just a very long time in the sense of like length of all relationships kind of thing or whatever. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I wonder what like divorce statistics and stuff like that are. Like if they're showing more divorces over this period or not.
I don't know. I feel like it would be less maybe because of like that apparatus of that being involved is kind of hard to engage with. Like,
yeah. To actually like go through with it, get it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could be.
No idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that for me and Tabs, it's been easy. We really like it. Like the fact that we get to just spend all day together. I mean, that's kind of what we like to do anyway. So
sure,
it's just not been an issue for us.
Yeah.
I personally have not noticed like relationships failing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't actually think of a single breakup that I can remember from this time.
Yeah, and just from my own position, like my parents have been getting along better, I find, in the last year and a half or so, because they've been together so much. It's like irritating, but not like it's like I don't know, like it just seems like they've been arguing less and stuff just because I don't know, it's sort of like chilled things out about maybe kind of thing. It's like, okay, we
run out of things to argue.
I don't know, maybe something like that. So I feel like and me too, kind of like, you know, I snap less. I kind of am less. I've sort of relaxed a bit about stuff. I think because maybe the few years before that for me were sort of relatively hectic kind of thing, like when I was in school and stuff, and I was sort of pushing myself pretty hard. So then when I was doing that, it was also like all the things around that were irritating me and stuff kind of thing in a lot of ways. Like, you know, if I had to get picked up from a train or whatever, all these different things, or like if I was interacting with people in class and all this kind of stuff, like little things would just pile up and irritate me and stuff. But like now it's sort of like I'm just hanging out at home most of the time. So I can kind of, most of the time it's okay. So, yeah.
Would you guys ever consider coming to the Jersey Shore? You could have a contest to see who could convert the Jersey Shore cast to your respective religions. Sounds like fun to me. I'd do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I would actually enjoy it in like, you know, that kind of getting to like, I was, you know, like stuff like with like Atlantic City or something like that, where there's just like tons of people all around and stuff and whatever, and getting drunk and stuff like that. And I don't know, I would probably, it would be like a nightmare to me in some ways, but like I don't know, sometimes that's okay, I guess. I'm not too much into like party culture and stuff like that kind of thing, so it doesn't really appeal to me. But like, I don't know, hanging out with people I know would be nice or something. So
yeah, I don't know. I think you can get away from that. Like, I haven't been to Jersey Shore, but I think like people think of it and they think of the show, and that's probably exaggerating it quite a lot. I saw a, you know, Dave Portnoy, the Barstool guy. He does those pizza reviews. Did you know this?
No.
Every day he posts a pizza place review, and I don't know why I watch them, but I watch them fairly regularly. And you kind of get to see a lot of different places in the country, right? Like he goes all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And so he did a series of them from Jersey Shore, and it just seemed like a kind of a nice little boardwalk kind of thing. You know, it didn't seem like it was just like, you know, party central, like with the, you know, those people from the show everywhere or anything like that. It just seemed like a regular kind of boardwalk. So I don't know, it sounds nice.
I've never actually seen the show. I've seen like snippets of it and stuff, but I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. I just kind of know about it through like osmosis, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're giving a thumbs down to this? You're not.
Well, I mean, I'd do it if it was like a bunch of friends or something like that kind of thing. I'm not really. If it was me interacting with random strangers, I wouldn't want to do that. So yeah.
Okay, fair enough. All right, next one says, does the 12th Imam really have superpowers like flying? I mean, I don't believe that. I don't know what the beliefs are about these specific things. That strikes me as something that is probably a very like minority sort of belief. There are like similar ideas about like various like Sufi saints and stuff like that. People, especially like in South Asia, have ideas about like different Sufi guys who would be able to fly or just like appear, wherever they wanted to, kind of like, throughout space and time, kind of like travel around and, just have all these kinds of different abilities and all that. So I don't know. I've also not heard this about like the 12th Imam specifically before. So I don't know.
This is, I can't remember what you had said about this before, but like, is there supposed to be like a 12th Imam in like the Sunni faith too or something like that? Or was that this like a...
yeah, no.
Okay.
So like the Shia have a specific like this line of imams.
Okay. Yeah.
There, there's different numbers of them according to like what
sure,
sect you're in. So like the 12ers is the big one in Iran, and so the 12th Imam is like the last one, and then there was the 13th one who went into occultation. That's the one.
Okay, yeah.
That whole deal.
And they're different from the Mahdi. Like that's not.
Yeah, the Mahdi is a different thing, and that exists in Sunni Islam.
Yeah, that's what I was confused about. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought
there
that
may be some idea of like the 13th Imam being the Mahdi. I don't know. That may be the case.
Okay.
The thing is, there is a little bit of crossover in the sense that some of the imams are revered as like great scholars and like pious people and stuff in Sunni Islam as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like Jafar al-Sadiq is a, he's kind of like appreciated by both Sunnis and Shia.
Okay.
All right. How do you guys know so much about philosophy and like art and stuff? I got a decent college education and I don't think of myself as that stupid, but I feel totally lost whenever there's a discussion about like Foucault, deeper Marxist ideas, etc.
I guess the first thing is that it's probably bad on us if you're feeling lost or something like that. I don't know. Like that's our job, I think, to some extent, isn't it? But yeah. But I don't know. I mean, part of it is that I went to school for a long time, kind of thing, like on and off, and just read a lot. Other than that, too, I guess, kind of thing. Like, if I had like, I'm like 40 now. If I had like a bunch of full-time jobs and stuff, and wasn't just reading here and there a lot of the time, then I don't know. But we also, I think, part of it is had a good community of people around us online and stuff sometimes that were like challenging us kind of to read in different ways, kind of thing. I don't know. That at least for me. That like there's lots of people that like you could talk to about this kind of stuff and would have strong opinions, and those opinions might not always be well founded, but like they'd still be, explosive or something like that, like powerful.
It would make you interested.
Yeah, sure.
Like you'd want to learn about this thing. It doesn't matter necessarily what whoever you heard it from, like what their take on it was. Like it would sound interesting, and you'd kind of explore it. I guess. Yeah, that I think that's a big part of it. Just having people constantly like just introducing different things that you're like, oh, that sounds cool. You look it up.
Yeah.
I know. We're also big nerds. I mean,
sure. Yeah.
Let's not pretend otherwise. Like that. We just like learning about all this stuff as opposed to like doing other things.
Yeah.
So.
And we're also probably, at least for me, like I know enough about it to like talk about it, and I know why I'm interested in it and stuff. But like if I was talking about it with like a person that like did their PhD in it or something, they would be like, they would have I would have the same reaction, probably the other direction kind of thing. I'd be like, wow,
exactly.
You know so much, but I'm just I like knowing a little bit about a lot of different things and just kind of reading about things and having fun kind of thing with it. But like, I'm not the kind of person that would like say, be reading through French language, Foucault transcripts or something, for lectures or something like that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like actually putting in the hard work kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, like just speaking of Foucault, I've probably read less Foucault than many people who listen to this. I think I've read like one book, and it was like his lectures, the like later lectures.
Yeah.
So I haven't even read like the major, Discipline and Punish and all that stuff.
Sure.
I guess with Islam, that is a little bit easier to explain. Like when you convert to something kind of like on your own reading, you tend to just kind of continue to read about it. Like that's your portal to it. So, just to answer questions, I had to like gain an understanding of things. Like that's just how I did it. So, yeah, but I also, like you said, I also would push back on the idea that like, that we know all that much about these things. We know enough to like say the things that we say, and that's about it.
Sure.
All right. What does Don think about the IWW? Is it a sustainable model or a pipe dream?
So I think it made sense, especially like historically, as like you have to think that like in the 19th century and stuff, a lot of these like as the labor movement was sort of evolving in different ways, this was really like the first big global push for a lot of these organizations. So that in the early 20th century and stuff, I mean, unions were still sort of in the United States, especially like sort of they either would be sometimes like outright illegal, or there would like be some sort of semi-legal or thing. Like the sort of modern infrastructure of labor rights didn't exist around that kind of stuff. So the idea of, number one, we should be radical and not try to just build all these architecture of contracts around it and stuff. That made sense to a lot of people. And then number two, we should try to have one big union that everyone is in. That was just like part of a natural process of trying to piece together all of these different unions and stuff. So I think those are like sort of the two pieces that make up the IWW. Is like, number one, that we should have this sort of radical rank and file outlook. And then number two, that like we should try to all unite in one union instead of being like different parts. Now, the problem is that like nowadays, I don't think that it doesn't realize that at all, like in any way kind of thing. It's like, it's a very, very, like in terms of like, there's unions in the United States that have millions of members and stuff, right? Like, or like hundreds of thousands of members. I think that like the contemporary IWW probably has like a few thousand members or something like that. So I always push back against it when it gets a little too arrogant online and stuff. But like, if they're like, we're building one big union and all this kind of stuff, it's like, yeah, but not really, right? Like it's not, you're not really building one big union. You're just, like, and there's a lot of like two-carders. So there's people that are members of normal unions and then members of the IWW as well, which is kind of like, it's a bit like being a member of a club at that point. So it's always a bit like, it's nicer. I think it's better now in some ways because like the left is getting bigger in general kind of thing, or there's a lot of people interested in it in all different ways. So it seems more plausible that you can kind of like talk about this growth and stuff. But it used to be very, very irritating like many years ago where you'd have these people talking about the IWW being like, the next big thing or whatever kind of thing. And there was no evidence of that really. It would be like a single coffee shop or something would unionize and stuff, like the kind of thing that a normal union would not really brag about kind of thing. So anyways, that used to bother me. I've thought about joining them in the past, but there's no like real reason to kind of thing. I'm not like a member of a wage labor kind of thing. There are a lot of people that are like freelancers that have like started joining them, but like it's not really, I don't know. You have to, I don't know. For me, I'm always like big picture on this kind of stuff. I don't know. It's like, you got to think of like the interlocking giant pieces kind of thing instead of worrying about too much about your own little thing. So yeah.
Sure. Don, I've always been a big fan of your Letterboxd review of The Two Popes. The Buddy Pontiff movie thing always makes me laugh. You criticize the film for not exploring Benedict's genius and only showing him as the traditionalist predecessor to Francis. As someone who is just now exploring Christianity for the first time in my adult life, I'm curious what you meant by that. Thanks, guys. All the best.
So in the movie, the two popes, I think it's like Anthony Hopkins, isn't it, or something like that? So yeah, it plays Benedict, and it's funny what they kind of have to set it up as, like um, Pope Benedict being like a relic kind of thing. Like, he doesn't understand modern technology. He's very negative about any kind of change. They kind of make it like I don't know, just like they set him up, and the whole point of it is kind of, it's supposed to be, it's supposed to have kind of like a liberal spin on it, which is where the like Pope Francis is like struggling with himself, struggling with like the changes in the church, struggling with like what he has to do and all this kind of stuff. It necessarily, because of the way the narrative is structured, it makes it like first thing, it makes it kind of like a jokey kind of thing to some extent, like they're going back and forth and stuff, and it's sort of like perfect strangers kind of stuff, like like two people that need to relate to each other even though they're not really from the same kind of background, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it makes Pope Benedict seem very like calculating and kind of a bit out of it, kind of stupid. Not stupid, but like absent-minded kind of to some extent, or like, but like calculating, and not like, it doesn't look at it as if like he had like opinions about certain things other than just being conservative or something like that kind of stuff. So anyways, I just mean that like in his actual writings and stuff, there's a lot of very, very interesting things that he says about like different like about like the liturgy, like the how mass is structured and all that kind of stuff. I've read a lot of very interesting things he says, and because of the way that the movie is structured, it's hard to kind of get that across. You can't really get across these detailed, intricate arguments that he makes and stuff like that, just because they have to make it into the conservative world, old world, being confronted with the liberal new world, and the sort of crisis that creates and stuff. So
You enjoyed that movie, didn't you?
yeah, I did. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good for what it was, and it's yeah. I just always, that's just a nagging thing in my mind all the time, is that like it's it ends up being kind of like, sometimes there's this culture war kind of thing that gets overlaid on it, where it's like, it's almost as if like Benedict is supposed to be the Fox News Republican Pope or something, and then Francis is like MSNBC liberal or something, and they don't fit neatly into that kind of mold. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like that would annoy me.
It's well done though in the movie. Like, I mean, eventually, because of the way the movie's structured, like they eventually kind of come to like they become sort of friends kind of thing, and like unite in to some extent, and it's like it sort of is supposed to be about like this future in the past kind of hanging together in friendship and all this kind of stuff. So uneasily kind of thing and stuff, and so I get that. I get that. It's but at that point, the more and more it becomes like that, the less and less it's sort of like about the actual church kind of thing. So
right.
I don't know. It's more kind of like that's why I called it a buddy pope movie, because it's like, like it's sort of like fire and ice kind of thing. So I don't know. So, yeah.
Alrighty. So the next one says, I'm considering getting involved in public policy, specifically transportation. Does Don have any advice for me starting out?
I guess, yeah, if it's public policy and you're actually, so like if you want like a job in that area or something, like not just, you're not just thinking through it in general, but you like want to work for either like local transit or some sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, number one, any sort of job in that area, even like indirectly or like an internship or something like that, is probably good. Just like practical experience. It's obvious, but like, and then the other thing is like how the government works in general kind of thing. I think like you get like a lot of books like that in sort of introduction to policy studies and stuff. I think that's important. Like, like the different ways things are funding happens and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, stuff like that. I mean, the problem is that like a lot of these things are very, very political, and like the solutions to them are not necessarily the ones that come from experts, kind of thing, because like transportation funding, at least in the United States and stuff, is like very political in how it works and stuff. So I don't know, but I think that like I think for a lot of policy stuff, it's just sort of grinding through a lot of the basic books and internships and stuff like that kind of thing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard. I don't know for transportation if there's like sort of for the radical side of it. I think it would have to be, if you're interested in that at all, it would be like learning about geography and urban geography and all that kind of stuff and critical things about geography. But and there's tons of stuff on that too. But I'm not sure beyond that kind of thing, like what would be actually helpful kind of thing in understanding alternatives and stuff. So yeah.
All right. Does mouthwash do anything?
I don't know. I've started using it sometimes now, and I don't know. I don't know. It seems to sometimes give me a headache or something like that. I don't know. It seems to like somehow affect
really
my mouth or something. I don't know. I don't know if that doesn't seem like a good sign, but I'm not sure why. I think maybe it dries out my mouth or something. I'm not sure, but like I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So my understanding of the way you're supposed to kind of treat all this stuff is like toothbrushing is good because like the paste like it has stuff in it that's good to keep on your teeth for like 30 minutes or so. So you don't want to wash out your mouth after you brush, and you don't want to use mouthwash after you brush because you're kind of like negating the whole point of brushing your teeth. Well, not the whole point, but a significant part of it. And that mouthwash is good. It's not a replacement for brushing or flossing or anything, but it is good like after you eat, for example, if you want to do that. And you could brush your teeth too, but like instead if you want to use mouthwash, like that's also good.
Oh, okay.
That's my understanding.
My understanding was that like you normally sort of brush your teeth as regular, and then you rinse with mouthwash so that it like breaks down the stuff that you haven't reached or stuff like that kind of thing, and strengthens the teeth in that way kind of, or something like that. So
I don't know. Like I could be wrong. I have no idea.
No idea.
That's just what I think. I saw that on Reddit at some point or something. So
sure. Yeah.
Take that for what it's worth.
Yep.
So yeah, it does do something, I guess.
Okay.
All right. Why doesn't the first Muslim president, Barack Hussein Obama, get more respect in the Muslim world? Is it because he's a man and Muslims only respect women leaders? I think that's the case, actually. I think that's spot on.
Mm-hmm. Did you see anything about his birthday party celebration?
Oh yeah, I it was like really expensive, right? Like he spent a huge amount of money on it.
Yeah, I don't know when it is, but he's turning 60, and like it's got like hundreds of guests, I think, and all this kind of stuff, and it's all like elite people. I think he's doing it partly to like raise money for his like he's building some sort of presidential center or something like that kind of thing in Chicago, in one of the parks or something like that. So so I don't know. That's funny to me. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, just you can imagine the kind of person that would be like, wouldn't that be a dream to be at, or something like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know.
Yeah. I dislike him a lot more like post presidency than I did when he was president. Like I didn't like him as a president. I thought he did a lot of really heinous things, and he was always talking out of both sides of his mouth, and just typical kind of sleazy scumbag American politician guy. But he's just obnoxious now. Like, he's just annoying and smug. Like, I don't know, this like weird others. Like, I don't. Maybe it was always there. I didn't notice it, but like this, there's like this other side of him that's come out that's just really annoying.
Yeah, I was
like,
always yeah.
Very like a celebrity obsessed sort of thing, you know.
I was always sort of really annoyed at what him kind of like in the smug stuff, and I remember in like 2015 or so, or 2016, just being like, oh man, I don't want this guy on my television anymore, kind of thing. Like he always gets up there and just says the most like nonsensical kind of liberal platitudes and all that kind of stuff, and just really doesn't like just seemed like a real like liar creep or something like that. And it was like one of those things of be careful what you wish for, I guess, because then we got Trump, or you got Trump, I guess. But like, it's like I guess that was fun to some extent, but it's also like, yeah, he just a scumbag in his own way. So I don't know. And now Biden, I don't even know. He doesn't even get to go on television most of the time. So
Yeah, he's dead.
Sure.
All right, how about this one? Tom, are you a Jocko Willink fan? If so, do you take steroids? I wouldn't call myself a Jocko Willink fan. I don't listen to his podcast, or I'm not really into that whole thing that he's got going on. You know who this is, right, Don?
I'm not sure.
He's a ex-military guy who started a podcast, and he like reads from like memoirs of soldiers to open it, and talks about like. He's the guy that did that little video clip that I like to send. You probably saw this, where like he says good, like we didn't get the equipment, good. Can't do the mission, good. You know, he's all about like positive attitudes kind of a thing. Tough guy, positive attitudes.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about him, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I love that clip. That clip is hilarious. But yeah, I'm not a fan, especially. Okay. Like, I don't dislike him actively or anything. Like, he's just not, not my thing.
Have you ever gotten into any of that sort of like operator culture kind of stuff, like military podcasts or anything, military history, or like, I don't know.
No, I did try listening to some of that stuff, but it was just too, I don't know. Again, like not my thing. It was really, I was interested in some like information about different topics that they were discussing, like, but it wasn't like it's too much about like this kind of like personal experience kind of like stuff, very like lifestyle kind of thing,
Sure. Yeah.
And no, I don't take steroids.
Yeah.
All right, are we accepting internship applications? Someone asks.
I don't think we would trust at this point. I don't think we would trust other people with the files or anything like that. I don't know. I feel like, or something like that. Like we would just be like, I don't know. I feel like we have our own little thing going that we do pretty regularly and stuff. And I can't imagine like me and you doing this with like a producer here or something like that. That would be strange to me. I don't know. So
that would be weird. Yeah.
So.
It would feel pretty redundant. I'm like,
yeah, what
exactly do you do here? Yeah. Like, we're just like talking. I don't know. Yeah. It would seem kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. If someone wanted to edit the podcast for free, I might do that. Maybe I should try to outsource my side of the editing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll set up like a sweatshop of editors.
Sure.
Let's see. Okay, how about this? Could we maybe get the Prots and Catholics to merge? It would take some compromise. The Catholics would give up their silly Roman monarch, and the Protestants could do some more fish fries.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of it's one of those things where it's like a lot of it comes down to sort of the culture and history of different groups, and then there's like some sort of like there's certain implications of a certain type of culture that can play out over long periods of time. Like you can kind of go, okay, well, Calvinists have this certain view of society, and that maybe influences how they think about, how people should work in society and all this kind of stuff, whatever. And but I feel like a lot of that is very contingent and stuff, and like very I don't think it actually really roots into the theory as much kind of stuff. I feel like a lot of that is historical accident. And
so you're like neutral on the fish fries.
well, I'm against the fish fries in general, just because
Fish.
I saw someone cooking fish the other day, and it honestly, I don't know, it looks like garbage to me. It looks like someone is it looks like someone like got like a squirrel out of a garbage can or something like that and is frying it up. And that's how my mind approaches the problem, kind of thing. So I'm not a good Catholic in that way or something like that kind of thing. It's like, it really does, like, it could be the best fish ever, and to me it's just like it just because I was raised not eating it, like it looks like it looks like some sort of bizarre thing, kind of thing, like from a horror movie or something. So yeah.
That's so strange to me.
Yeah.
But whatever, to each his own.
Yeah.
All right. What were your go-to mindless shows growing up? Mine were Cops, Reno 911, MVC, and American Ninja Warrior. Don't know what MVC is.
I would watch shows like Major Dad and Designing Women, and I guess not Simpsons or anything. I wouldn't count that as mindless kind of thing, but I did watch them a lot. And but there was a lot of like afternoon / early evening like TV shows that were just like Coach. Remember that show? And
yeah, Coach.
And that were on every day at like the same time or something like that kind of thing. So I would just watch them. Now it had no like, it was strange because it had no relationship to be if it was good or not. It was like, that's what's on, you got to watch it kind of thing, or something like that kind of thing. It's just like, I'm gonna kill time watching TV now, and it's like time to watch like, Designing Women. I think I've saw most episodes of Designing Women, even though like it was only like mildly good kind of thing or something like that kind of thing most of the time. So I don't know. So I don't know. And I also I would watch stuff like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
And
that was one for me.
Yeah. In terms of like, just sort of generic sitcom kind of stuff. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So my selection, like what was available to me, was kind of, it was just odd because of growing up in different countries and stuff. Like the American media would be pretty, you'd have a narrow selection. Usually it was like one channel that had that stuff, and it wasn't like new stuff really. Like they would just get like syndicated things. The big get that they had in India was Friends.
Mm-hmm.
When that was like the big show,
yeah.
They were able to get that show. So the shows I remember watching growing up, so like when I was a little kid, they had this like 30-minute or an hour-long bit on the like the military TV channel. Like the military has its own channel. We used to call it AFARTS. It's AFRTS.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a little thing called Just for Kids, and they would play like Looney Tunes and did they have Ren and Stimpy? I think they had them sometimes. Rocco Modern's Life was on there. That was pretty good. I really liked that show. Stuff like that. Animaniacs. And then like as I got older, so I was in India, and they had, I think it was Star TV, which is a British network. And they would get Happy Days was a show that I would watch.
Yeah.
They had that on like before going to school, so I would like get ready, and then like 10-15 minutes I would watch Happy Days before leaving. What else did they have that I would watch? Simpsons I would watch. Fresh Prince. Family Matters. Home Improvement. Home Improvement was a big one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Aqua Teen Hunger Force, because they had Cartoon Network, and Cartoon Network actually was like pretty much the same stuff that what I think they had in the States. So like they did the whole Adult Swim thing. And so all those early like Adult Swim shows were also kind of a thing.
Yeah. That was a bit like Aqua Teen came out when I was in university, I think, or just before that. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
And so I watched all that kind of stuff too. But yeah, so.
Yeah, I mean I was in high school at that point,
Sure.
I guess. So that's, I don't know if this counts as the time period we're looking at here, but yeah, that's the stuff that I watched. Then a lot of like music videos and stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that would really be my go-to like mindless TV would be like Channel V, which was an Australian MTV style channel.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that.
Cool.
All right. So this looks like I don't know what this says. I'm just going to read it, but it looks amazing. It says, I enjoy when R-worded people get bullied until they leave online and go into deep depression and say half-assed excuses. As an example, that Bean Dad dude being completely publicly eviscerated. Loved it. Fucking Chapo said it was bad. For me, that is an R-worded opinion. What about you guys? What do you think?
I actually I avoided the whole Bean Dad news cycle kind of thing. I just didn't.
Yeah, I don't even know what the story is with it. I just have heard this reference to a Bean Dad. I don't know what that means.
There's only so many like memes and stuff you can kind of follow before your brain turns to mush, and mine is already pretty close to mush, so I can't push it over that edge by learning about every new viral person kind of thing.
Yeah,
and
that stuff has sort of lost its like fun to me, and it's just become like something people do to like spend their time. Like it's almost like people are like doing the job of it. Like there's some sort of duty to it. It's just
like I still try to follow most of it, but kind of thing. But I can't just. Well, what will happen is I'll sort of see a story that I think I'm just not going to care that much about, and I have to kind of like turn it off in my brain to some extent and be like, okay, no more Bean Dad content for me. And then I kind of like scan over other posts and I'll see like Bean Dad or something like that, and I just ignore that whole post pretty quickly or something like that. I have to like, because on Twitter you can't like not read it kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like it just kind of, because the posts are so short, they kind of like you have to have read it to know what it's about kind of thing. So
right.
So that's what ends up happening is I end up kind of half ingesting a lot of dumb content, and I have to kind of like just, glaze my eyes over and just ignore it as fast as I can kind of thing. So,
Yeah. I have not really been looking at Twitter lately at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think it's time to move on to something else or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This one says, Don, what if the Pope was a gamer?
There was actually, I don't know if you saw this, but there was like a teen or something that died or whatever, and it was like 15 or 16 or something, and apparently one of his like hobbies was like playing video games a lot, and I think that, I don't know if he got the full thing, but he was on the path to sainthood or something for some reason, and I don't know the whole detailed story, but people are saying that he's the gamer saint now because they're like he's the first saint to like play video games a lot before they died, and there was something to do with it. I don't know if they were martyred or something or whatever, but like so I think there is a gamer saint you can actually pray to now, so I think that like maybe you could pray
that's cool
to the gamer saint, that the next pope will be a gamer. So
sure, I guess at some point it's inevitable, right?
Yep.
If everyone just plays video games when they're growing up, then at some point one of the popes will have had that kind of childhood.
Yeah. I think Pope Francis's like media team is good enough that I'm sure that like if you looked it up online, there's probably like, dozens of pictures of him playing like PS5 or something like that kind of thing, like just and having like a quizzical look on his face or something like that and smiling.
Yeah.
Just because there seems to be like a complete set of every of that kind of thing. So you never know. I know he's taken selfies before, so
Okay, the next one says, do you guys like black people?
Yep. I don't know. Yep. I don't know.
I could take them or leave them. They love me, but I'm neutral.
Sure.
All depends.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last one we'll do says, do you guys like having troll questions? I mean, this is the troll podcast after all. Well, I like the troll questions and stuff. Some of them are really lazy, and we tend to not read those ones and stuff.
Yeah.
So, if you notice that the kind of stuff you're sending in isn't being read, this isn't, I mean, we aren't able to read like 90% of what gets sent in, but, some of this we just have to skim over. There's a lot of crap that comes in.
Sure.
But if it's funny, I like the funny troll stuff, the ones that are like actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't mind the troll stuff. Sometimes the troll stuff gets pretty. I haven't noticed it lately, but like sometimes it gets pretty like detailed in how mean it is or something like that, and that kind of gets like that. I don't know. Like it'd be nice to say that like I just it all reflects off me at this point, but some of it does. It's like you're like, man, that guy's angry for some reason or something like that. So, like that's really.
That's funny. I actually think people take it easy on us.
Oh yeah.
But my idea of like what is appropriate levels of like ribbing is probably not okay.
No. Yeah,
so I don't know. People could get pretty extreme, and I'd just be like, haha, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is not an encouragement for you guys to try. So that's the other thing.
If you guys want to go hard, you can send it my way. I don't mind at all.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, that was fun. So.
Yeah, glad we got through some of these questions. I think we're making good progress on this.
Sure.
So if you guys enjoyed this episode and you'd like a second episode every week, you can subscribe to our Patreon and you'll get that as well as access to our Discord. There you can chat with us in our lovely community. If you want to send us anonymous questions, you can do that by going to our Twitter account @YouCan'tWinPod, and you can send in questions to the Curious Cat over there. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.